We decided we needed signposting because 60% of our patients who see GPs actually don't need to. They could have been seen by a different clinician, they could have been seen elsewhere, perhaps at a pharmacy, or they could have used a self-referral and managed their care themselves. So we were wanting to make sure that patients get the care that they need, but in the most appropriate way.
Now that I've got children, I find that the triage service is excellent for me to be able to speak to a doctor and get advice over the phone if it's something minor, and also if it's something major, to come in and they will give me an appointment around my schedule. So that's the best thing for me as a parent.
Signposting initially works when a patient calls or comes in, so the first point of contact for signposting is reception, admin staff. So a patient would perhaps call for an appointment, they wouldn't necessarily know that the best course of action wouldn't be for them to see a GP, so they'd ask for an appointment. Reception would then advise the patient on the best thing to do for the condition that they're coming in for. So let's say, for example, a patient called up and they were wanting a repeat sick note, Med3. The reception would find out as much information as they can, so they would ask the patient if they've had it before. If they had, they could then advise the patient to go online onto our website and fill out all of the details about the sick note, the time that they're needing it for, and then ask the doctor to do that, not via an appointment, but during their admin time. When we began designing the process for signposting, myself and one of our doctors, we sat down, we had a look at the clinics, telephone calls, face-to-face consultations for the next week or so, and we had a look to see the different things that patients were booked in to come in and see a doctor that perhaps didn't need to, and then we freed that appointment up. We then created flowcharts so that the staff that were using the protocols could easily look and remind themselves of how the protocol worked. So then we had training sessions, we had group sessions on how to signpost, what to expect. Some patients initially might be worried that if they're signposted, they're going to have less care than they would have if they were seeing a GP. So it was about encouraging our staff to reassure the patients and let them know that actually this is the best course of action for them. It's impacted other practice systems quite a lot, mainly the availability of appointments. So because lots of patients are now being signposted, that frees up appointments for patients who actually do need to come in. So that's on the telephone and face-to-face. So I remember an incident once where we had a fully booked clinic and a parent of a child called up. They were very unwell, they needed to come in. Of course we squeezed them in, we did as much as we could to get them seen, but on reflection, looking back at that clinic, there are plenty of things that actually could have been dealt with by signposting. And actually I think that was one of the key things that made us initiate this whole process, because we then understood that actually there's a risk of patients who need to be seen not being able to be seen because patients who don't are. Patients' access to services has really improved since we started using signposting. Patients are able to, for example, go onto our website and have a look at the self-care section. They can find out lots of different information, there are leaflets on there, there's advice, and they can find out, perhaps using an example of a newly diagnosed patient, say with diabetes, they can have a look at the self-care, they can find out much more about their condition and have a fuller understanding. Some people could think that there might be patient safety issues, but we have ensured that there is rigorous training for all of our admin staff, but also the things they are able to signpost are things that there wouldn't be a significant risk if something did go wrong. So although we have never come across something happening that put a patient at risk, if worst case scenario somebody was signposted for something that perhaps they should have come in for, the areas that we do signpost wouldn't allow a clinical risk to happen. My advice to other practices who are thinking of starting signposting would be to get their admin staff involved from the very beginning. So to run audits, for example, including the admin staff, letting them know what they're auditing, to find the areas that patients who are coming in to see the doctors perhaps don't need to, and start with that first. So have a core group of areas that patients could be signposted. And once you have the audit, you then know which areas to focus on. You can then create processes, so steps for the reception to take, foolproof steps so they know when to signpost. We as an organisation have 26 practices across London. This has been rolled out to lots of them and it's really worked well. The admin staff have taken it up, they've really enjoyed it from day one really. They've really been empowered by the new services that they're able to offer patients that in the past they had no idea about. So any practices that are considering, I would definitely recommend it.